Bridget's desire for connecting with others is the reason she came back to the network marketing industry. During her time as a managing director of chapter development for BNI, Brigitte has trained thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs on how to become professional and profitable networkers. Recognizing that 95% of the issues coaching others was the lack of motivation, clarity, and focus. Her entrepreneurial passion and network marketing coaching background is what spearheaded her involvement in Happy Ass Coffee. Did I say that right? Well, I would say Happy Ass Coffee, but no one understands that one. So, I would like to welcome to the stage Brigitte Ades.
Hello everybody, how you doing? Woo! Alright, I want everybody to stand up real quick. Stand up, just shake it off a little bit. We've got a meal in our tummy and we're probably tired. Look at your neighbor and say congratulations for being here.
Congratulations!
Alright, good job. Okay everybody, please have a seat. Thank you, I just wanted you to get up a little bit. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Sherry for this opportunity. I'm telling you, I am absolutely honored, and my goodness, the speakers this morning, were you guys floored?
Yeah.
This session here? No. Oh, I want to be your new friend. I want to be your new friend. I love you. You're amazing. Thank you for sharing. And is Polly still here? Oh, good, because Polly, okay, you know, I thought I was accomplishing something at a 10-mile walk. All I got, what did I get, Mary? I got a sore knee from that 10-mile walk. Darn it, I would never make it around the world. Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying, I have sat where you guys are many, many years. I was with a little company, a pink cosmetic company, I think you know who they are, for many, many years. And I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way. I would go back up to my room and my head would explode. I had 3,000 things I wanted to do all in one day. Do you guys get that? Yeah. And what ended up happening when you went home? Not a darn thing. Yes, so I just want you to realize I have been where you are for many, many years with other companies as well. And I had the opportunity to be able to sit down with Dr. Ivan Meisner. I was actually hand-groomed by him for BNI. How lucky am I? How many of you know who Dr. Ivan Meisner is? Isn't he amazing? Yes. He is the godfather of networking. He founded BNI. So anyway, I was talking with him. He goes, well, how do you like conference? And I said, I'm freaking out. How am I going to implement everything? I just don't know how I'm going to do it. He said, can I just give you a piece of advice? I'm like, oh, sure. I'm going to listen to the best man ever. He said, just choose one thing and do it. Don't try to do 15 different things because it's not going to work. Because what happens when you go home? I might be on stage and doing fancy things, but guess what? I go home and my husband said, can you do this for me and can you do that? I'm not that important at home. Right? How many of you understand what I mean? So, but here's the thing. If you do one thing from this conference and you do it well and do it with intention, this will all pay off. So I just wanted to tell you I know where you're at and you're going to hear a lot today. So the next thing is about relationships. Honestly, wouldn't you agree relationships are truly your currency? That is exactly what we're going to be here about, is we're going to be learning about relationships. And relationships, why are relationships important? Can anybody tell me? After this morning, we should know relationships are important, but what's important? Why is relationships important? Yes. Collaboration. How many of you have met people through networking and working and then you hear that they're going through tough times, you drop everything and you're there for them, right? And how many times has that happened for you guys? It's the investment of relationships. I truly take that seriously. I'm so excited, Curtis, go ahead, to share with you something that I thought was funny when Polly earlier said she Googled. We are living in a Google world. Would you guys agree? This is a Google world. What you sell, what services you have, can be found in 2 seconds and two clicks for a lot less money than you have to offer. Would you agree? So why is it that your clients stick with you? Why do you think it is? Who said that? Relationships. Absolutely. I can tell you something, I could find mascara, I could find makeup anywhere, but I get it from somebody special. Why? Because I adore and love her. So we do live in a Google society. I mean, we just, for yesterday, just for the heck of it, Curtis and I looked up fitness trainer in Denver, hundreds of pages. So what makes the difference? It's you. It's how you treat those relationships. So, Google. Do we want Google to be our director, or do we want to direct our own relationships? Do you want your people going to Google and finding out what they can get cheaper and less, or do you want to stay in touch with people? Today I want to introduce somebody very special to me. I'm going to try to do this without crying. Curtis Lewsey. Amazing young man. I've been a friend, I've been in his life for many, many years. He wrote a book, this book right here in 2004, Appreciation Marketing. A great book. How many of you have read it in this room? I know there's a couple of you. Yes, a couple of you have read it in this room. And you have an opportunity later. So, this book was written in 2004. He co-authored it with his best friend, Tommy Wyatt. Tommy Wyatt is a crack-up. He is so much fun. They wrote this book, and then in 2014, Curtis went out on his own and started a company called AM Cards. AM Cards is appreciation marketing. So about a year ago, or not even a year ago, I called up Curtis and said, I have an opportunity to talk to Achieve. Can you help me out? I would love for you to be here, but here's something I want you to know about Curtis. He is on a 90-day blitz. He is hitting anywhere from 5 to 6 cities a week, and he rearranged his schedule to be here today. Not only that, he also traditionally hunts with his father on this weekend. He broke the tradition. He is here today. And not only is he a dear friend, but he's one of these friends. For example, he is here. He rearranged his speaking engagement, and he rearranged not hunting with his father this weekend. And he's one of the friends that you could reach out and say, I need your help. And he showed up. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be so entertained. I'm so fortunate to be able to share the stage with my dear friend, somebody who I actually consider He's could be my son. I know, what does that say about my age, right? But he is special, adorable. I absolutely love him. And if we all could give him a big round of applause, Curtis Lewsey.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brigitte. Yeah, it's been over 10 years since Brigitte and I have met. And, Brigitte, says so many nice things about me. However, Brigitte has been a mentor to me in my life and has meant a lot to me, so thank you so much for the opportunity to invite me here today and to be able to share with you guys a little bit about appreciation marketing. I can't believe it was actually 2009 that we wrote the book, so it was 10 years ago. And it blows me away that it was already 10 years ago. My business partner Tommy and I used to be with a greeting card company called Send Out Cards, which some of you guys know. And we were international trainers and speakers, and we were all over the place. And one of the things we realized is that no matter where we go, whether it was Australia or Canada or being on Skype calls and training all over the world, really, one of the things we realized is that one of the biggest competitive advantages of today's marketplace is saying thank you. Is saying thank you. And what seems to be common sense is just not common practice. And by doing just a few little things and doing them consistently can actually help you stand out from the competition and generate that referral-based business. See, it was probably, let's say, 1 week after I graduated college. And so this was in 2005. And I was in the conference championships of my college baseball team. And my dad and my sister Dina comes walking into the hotel room to tell me that my brother Silas was killed. And my brother's house was killed on a dirt bike. It was a really freak accident. And going into corporate America just a week after that, my mind was kind of messed up because my dad said a couple things at his funeral that really sunk in. It really made me think about life. And he says, Silas lived more life in his 23 years than most do in a normal lifetime. And so I went into corporate America with a different mindset. And I was taught right out of college, to really look at people as dollar signs and decimal points. Because the company I worked with was a very good company. Anyone read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Robert Kiyosaki? Well, in the book, if you remember, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad told him to go work for Xerox when he got out of the military, not for the money, for the training. And so I went to work for a company called Cintas right out of college. And Cintas is the uniform people. And I was knocking on every door, every store, and every floor in New Haven, Connecticut, and up and down the I-84 corridor. And I was selling really sexy products like toilet paper and air fresheners and soaps. And no, there was no leads given to me. I had to drum up all of my own business. And at about my first full month, it was September 2005, and I put everything I had into this job. Everything I had, I just poured into, had tunnel vision. And I went to work and I took a quote that I learned when I was in college. It says, from Jim Rohn. Anybody know who Jim Rohn is? Yeah, it's amazing, right? Jim Rohn says, what you lack in skill, you can make up in numbers. So all I did was talk to more people, and I beat the streets, and I worked long hours, and I was the #1 sales rep out of 1,250 reps nationwide in the Cintas Facility Service Division in my first full month out of college. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying it because it was the effort that I put in. However, after about 6 months in, I was about done. I mean, I was burnt out. And any of you guys ever been cold calling before?
Yeah.
You know, it's not exactly fun. You get your teeth kicked in quite a bit. And so, especially selling really sexy products like this, people don't really want to talk to you. So the value proposition has to be there. And then about 6 months in, I was talking to a friend of mine. He completely changed my life. Now, this guy, Sean, his name is Sean Hennigan, and he made twice as much money as us. And he worked half the amount of hours. I was like, that's not fair. Just because you're here longer, the company probably just funnels all the leads to you, and here you go, Sean. You've been here a long time, so here's all the leads, and it wasn't the case at all. See, what Sean was, he was out he was the guy playing golf on a Wednesday afternoon, or cutting out on a complete Friday, taking his nieces and nephews to the Fairfield Beach, and I was kind of annoyed, because here I am out knocking on doors, and he's working like 20 hours a week, and I'm working like 50 plus hours a week. And so he took me out to sushi. First time I ever had sushi. I'm 23 years old, and he comes in, he says, Curtis, he goes, how's it going out there? I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this up too much longer. I'm making a lot of money. It's just not really what I'm looking for. He's like, yeah, I understand. He goes, you're working really hard. He goes, you need to start working a little bit more smart. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you need to build out your referral partners. You need to and I goes, what do you mean? I said, I sell an account. He goes, turn over to customer service. They service the account, and then I just got to go find another hunter. I got to go find another piece of business and close it so I can hit my number. And he goes, no, Curtis. He goes, let me ask you a question. Who's the guy that's driving that truck in your territory in New Haven? I said, oh, of course I know that. That's Gary. So when you sell an account, it gets turned over to service, and he goes in there every week and changes out the mats and changes out the toilet paper and does all that stuff. And he goes, all right. And he goes, do you know that Gary gives me all of the referrals and it's your territory? I'm like, you son of a... And I thought it was pretty nice at the end of the month, end of the quarter, cashing commission checks that I didn't do any work for, because the way the rule was, if he sold in my territory, we split the commission. And he goes, no, tell me about Gary. I said, well, Gary services the accounts. And he goes, see, that's where you're all wrong. Gary's a father of 3 that likes to go fishing on the weekends, and he's training right now for a sprint triathlon. Get to know people for who they are, not what they do. And I said, I said, well, then how does this factor in? How does this work? He goes, well, because he's the eyes and the ears out there. If you let him know that when you see a sign that says under new management or coming soon, that's a lead. And usually the first person in the door gets the business. So I hopped on the truck and put on a uniform, and I carried the mats, and I changed out the toilet paper, and I did all that, and I bought him a $5 foot-long sub, meatball sub. Didn't really spend too much money. I got to know him for who he is as a person, what his dreams and what his goals were, and that completely changed the course of the business for me. And I learned a couple of lessons there, and there was a couple of lessons that I learned. And one is that, see, you generate leads by what you do. You earn referrals by who you are and how you're showing up in people's lives. So it's a question that you need to ask yourself is, and especially working with your collaborative partners and building out the influencers that are in your network, is that how are you showing up in their lives? And a little bit later, we're going to show you some tips and some tricks to be able to get closer to their heart so that they open up even more doors for you. Another lesson that I learned is that the best investment that we can make is in relationships. Relationships are the real currency in life. And you can lose it all, and you have the strong relationships, you're going to bounce back fast and probably bigger and better than you ever did before because of the lessons that you learned along the way, and you still have the relationships around you. Those are a couple of huge ahas. And then I left corporate America at 23 years young, and I really didn't, I had a short little stint where I had a job, and now I'm back out building my own businesses. And see, when I got out there in the real world, one of the things I realized is that there is a lot of shiny objects out there, isn't there? Everybody has the new magic tool to be able to grow your business. And they got this, and they got that. And like Brigitte was saying before, sometimes you just got to pick one.
Yeah, pick one. So I'm going to go back a couple of years when I had my salon downtown Denver. Do you guys remember when the Rockies came into town? How Cherry Creek in downtown was purple, black, and gray. It was gorgeous, wasn't it? Everybody was so excited. I never advertised, ever did I advertise in my salons and spas, ever. Well, this one cute girl comes bebopping in. Her energy level was so high. She was so adorable. I landed up not having a client at that time. Because really, when you're a hairdresser and you're cutting and somebody's coming in trying to sell, they're taking your time from your client, aren't they? I'm not a happy person when that happens. So, I was really excited. She was really cute. I sat down with her and I landed up buying an ad for the front page of the Rockies that everybody was gonna get. I was so excited. My ego got the best of me. I called up Aveda and I said, I need to double my order. We had everything ready to go. And we waited. And I want to ask you guys, how many new customers did I get? What? Why? They don't know me. But let me tell you what I did here. Brigitte, we saw your ad. I was like, that's nice. Then I heard it again and again. I'm like, if one more person says they saw my ad, I'm going to scream. Well, we landed up not having anybody come from there. So I had a meeting with my staff, and I said, you guys, what did we do wrong? And my manager raised her hand, and she said, you know what? Let's just keep doing what we're doing. We call everybody after we cut their hair. We celebrate their birthdays. We celebrate life with them. And I was like, yeah, that was not a cheap adventure. But I got to tell you something interesting that I learned from this. Ann. That's not Ann Curtis. I know. But you did good. Ann is a traveling nurse. And she came into my salon. And this is shortly after the whole ad fiasco. She came into the salon, I'm cutting her hair. And mind you, she's a traveling nurse. And I said, so, tell me a little bit about what does it feel like to be a traveling nurse? Sounds glorious, doesn't it, you guys? Sound like something really fun. She kind of stopped for a minute. She said, you know, I really miss my family. I'm alone a lot. I haven't been home in 3 months. And it broke my heart. I'm like, okay, we'll change the topic. But I felt really bad. So I cut her hair. We were all done. And the next day, I thought, I'm going to go out to dinner, but I'm not going to do this alone. I called Ann. She's a traveling nurse staying in Parkway Center. She said, I'd love to go to dinner with you. I got to tell you something magical that happened, you guys. I didn't talk about haircutting or anything. I just wanted to hear about Ann. I didn't want her to be lonely. But let me tell you what happened. I landed up with more nurses and doctors in my chair than I did from that ad that I spent money on. It hit me that my manager was right. I loved on Ann. I made sure she felt special. I filled her cup up while she filled mine up, and my book got filled. That was crazy, you guys. And then I started to realize relationships. That's where it's at, was Ann.
You guys ever remember this commercial that from this guy's with the Verizon, and he's walking around, he's like, what's that following you? What's that behind you? He's like, oh, that's my network. You remember that? I think he's now switched. I think he's now with Sprint. I'm pretty sure he did. So this is funny, but it reminds me of something. See, every single one of us has this invincible door behind us that only we can open. And when somebody likes and trusts and understands you, they have the ability to open up this door. See, it was 2012, I went down to Australia, and I spent 6 months there, and I was doing a book tour and building businesses down there. And one of the cool things that I realized is that when I was out there networking and meeting people and understanding what their dreams were and what their goals were outside of what they were doing already with their job, or maybe they were passionate about their job, I wanted to find what their purpose was, one of the things that really lit them on fire. And when I did that and built a little bit of a deeper connection, they started opening up doors all over the place. I went to Australia not knowing anyone. Literally, I knew one person that worked for the company that I did, and he was in corporate, and I did 248 one-on-ones in 90 days. And it opened up the doors everywhere, to the point where everywhere I was turning, somebody was introducing me to somebody else. Next thing you know, I found myself on Sunrise, which is like their version of Good Morning America, doing an interview for my businesses and stuff like that. And I thought, this is unbelievable. I was adding value to them, and they're opening doors all over the place. And so the theme of the day seems to be influencers and collaborating and finding those people. And we're going to have a challenge for you that we're going to challenge you in a little bit, that you can walk away from this conference and really implement something that's very simple, yet extremely, extremely effective.
Yes, so I keep forgetting that I have to use this, Curtis. Maybe I should have done what you did. So I want to ask you, what are some reasons customers don't come back to you?
You don't ask them.
Oh, that's good. What are some other reasons? Why do customers not, okay, let me ask you this in another way. Why do you not go back to businesses? Bad service?
Ambiguity.
What's it?
Ambiguity.
It's a big word.
Oh, that's a big word. But dummy it down a little bit. I know what it means, but what do you mean? Because you're close.
Not knowing the cost, not knowing plan of action, not knowing.
Okay, not feeling secure, uncertain. What are some other reasons? Right, yes.
No gratitude.
No gratitude. All right.
That's really, really close right there. You know, one of the top reasons why your customers are not going to come back to you to do business again or refer you business is because of perceived indifference. Who here knows what perceived indifference means?
Yeah.
Say it. They think that you don't care. Now, of course you care. I know that you care. You know that you care. However, the perception is that you don't care. Guess what the reality is?
You don't care.
That you don't care. So oftentimes it's like, you're busy or this or that, and it really just shows up where maybe you're not staying in touch with them or letting them know that you really do appreciate their business. Now, I know that there's some network marketers in here, and I do a lot of speaking and training in the network marketing space, and a lot of times people like going to get that next distributor and working on that next promotion, and that customer that they got 2 or 3 months ago, all of a sudden they drop their auto ship. But sometimes it's simple, just by going out of your way to show that you care and that it really means a lot to you. It's harder for them to go ahead and drop that service or drop that product, especially if they really like it. But that goes across all different types of professions.
Absolutely. Sesh said earlier, he was talking to a young man and he watched the guy 80% of the time. He was on his cell phone. We call them cell phones here, Sesh. Not mobiles, but I love it. No, but really, you felt like your time was wasted, right? You didn't feel special. So I wonder just how many people we have lost, or when we're on a one-to-one and we have a cell phone on.
And going out of your way to show that you care, just a little. I just got a phone call from one of my customers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He happens to be a real estate agent with a large company many of you guys know called Keller Williams. And he called me. He's like, Curtis, I have to tell you this really great story. He's like, I went to a listing appointment. And for those of you who don't know, that means that he's going to try to work on listing the property and putting the sign in front of the yard and putting it on the MLS, and it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars to him. And this lady needed to buy another home. So there's a good chance whoever won that business is going to get 2 sides of the deal, and it's probably going to be worth upwards of $12,000 in commissions for him, okay? So he said he left and he went back home. He's like, what can I do? He sent a card with a box of brownies, but here's what he did interesting. He wanted to do something above and beyond and show that he cared a little different way, and he sent it to the 7-year-old son, saying, thank you for allowing me to spend some time with your mommy to help you sell your home. The mother called back and said, listen, if you're going to do that before you even have my listing, I know that you're the right agent for me. Boom. I got off the phone, I'm like, that is so clever. That is so amazing. So thinking of outside the box ways to show that you care. Now, actually, one of the things I just did, I was in Denver. I'm on a 21-day tour right now. I'm not sleeping in my own bed in 21 days. And so this week alone, I've been in Eugene, Oregon, Los Angeles, Detroit, Chicago, and now here. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. My wife is with our son over in Brazil visiting family, so I'm taking this opportunity to hit the ground running this fall. And so one of the things that I did was I was trying to get into this event for a long time, and I was trying to show the value that I would be a great value add to their huge conference with like 500 or 600 real estate agents. And I'm like, this would be great for my business. No phone calls, no connections back. Finally, through a connection, they connected me, and she made one phone call and sent an email to this person and opened up some doors for me. Next thing you know, I landed this speaking gig along with another speaking gig, and within these 3 different events that I was at, put another $100,000 in my bottom line over the next 12 months. And so I wanted to go above and beyond to show my appreciation to her. So last weekend when I was in town, Brigitte brought me over to Lululemon. I know that she loves to do yoga and everything, so I picked out a couple of pieces of clothing and I had it in a bag and I brought it to her. She was floored. And so a couple $100 versus helping me get 6 figures in bottom line revenue over the next 12 months. It's just that making sure that you recognize and appreciate the things that are happening. And one of the things we're going to actually touch on in a second, it just popped into my head, and one of the things is that remember that behavior rewarded is behavior repeated. So if you want more referrals, reward the behavior, not just the commission check. Reward the behavior of somebody connecting you with somebody else, not just the written check. Because that goes a lot further if you want to get more referrals.
Absolutely, and that leads us into, you want to be intentional when you're going to be working on your appreciation marketing. I'm going to share here in a little bit about proper one-to-ones. I'm sure many of you have been on some bad one-to-ones, but we're going to talk about that. But be intentional. So I want to tell you, when I first started working with Curtis, Curtis has been a friend of mine, he's always like, Brigitte, you need to slow down to hurry up. I'm like, well, what the heck do you mean by that? He's like, be intentional on your thank you cards. I'm like, okay. So I really did. I took a lot of his advice, which he's going to share later, and I intentionally block, everybody, just so you know, 30 minutes a day is now in my calendar permanently. It will not move. I will work around it. Donna, our photographer here, she knows I have a half hour every single day for gratitude. Now, it could be singing a birthday song. It could be, how many of you have received phone calls from me singing birthday songs? Well, I don't know that many of you in here right now, but I do that a lot. Or if I see on Facebook somebody's lost their pet or whatever, I always do something to reach out, and I send cards on a daily basis. I always do something to make somebody feel special. But guess what? It's intentional, and you guys, it's not bad to say you schedule it in. Because how many of you would probably show a lot more if you put it in your schedule? So what they say, whatever you put down gets done.
Whatever you schedule. And there's a ton of different ways, and one of the things in our book is talking about if you build it, they will come. Building an appreciation marketing strategy into your business. And really at the end of the day, what it means is building in systems. Would you guys all agree with me that in order to build a big business, you need systems? Yeah. And you need systems that are simple and easy to implement, or they just don't get done? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. What I would highly recommend is that when you go back, pick one. So if relationships are going to be important to you, pick something that you're going to do. And here's a bunch of different things that you can do. How about, has any of you ever received an unsolicited review on Google? That they went on without you asking and wrote up a really nice review? How does that make you feel? Makes you feel amazing, right? And then the law of reciprocity kicks in, and then it's like, don't you want to do something nice in return? How about LinkedIn? LinkedIn's an awesome way to do it too. You can go on there and write an unsolicited review, or do a recommendation, it's called, right, in LinkedIn. So go on there and type a little something. And what I recommend is do something more about who the person is rather than what they do for a living. Like more from the heart. And when other people read that, it's going to help them generate more business. So you can be intentional and say, you know what? I'm going to sit down, I'm going to scroll on through, and 3 to 5 times a week, I'm going to go ahead and write one of those. Because what you send out is what you get back. It's so true. And it might not come from that angle right there. You do something over here. I'm a big believer in that. You're putting out a lot of good. It will come back, and just not coming back from the exact same place necessarily. Recognizing their interests. This is a way to show up in a different way to show that you care. If you care about them and they care about, let's say, a cause, and they say, hey, we're going to be doing a 5K on Saturday morning for the breast cancer awareness walk, or whatever it may be, show up if you have the opportunity to do. Or do things that are close to their heart. When you recognize their interests, it helps build that connection, that bond a little closer. One of the things I downloaded this app, it's free, or I'm sorry, it's not free, it's 99 cents. It's called Occasions, and I just can log different things in. So when I see that somebody just say, lost a relative, I'll program it in there and I'll write it, and then I can set the reminder. I want to know 30 days before, 7 days before, the day of the event, or the day before the event. And I really like to do the day before. So let's say somebody lost a dog. You know, that's a family member, and it's devastating for those guys that lost a pet. And why don't you put in the day before, and that anniversary, when it comes around the next year, what do you think it would mean to them if you put in a quick little phone call and just said, I know tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a tough day for you guys in your household. I think it was about a year ago, right, that Rocky passed away? And oh my gosh, immediately they're shocked because nobody remembers outside of that household. And I think it's a little weird to do it every single year. But maybe that first year that it happens. But we have the awesome opportunity to follow people's lives on Instagram and Facebook, and they're posting different things that are happening to them. And even Google alerts. One of my best friends and one of the investors in my business, he sells private jets for a living and concierge services for jets and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things he does is put Google alerts in on the people that he wants to meet, or the people that he meets maybe at a benefit dinner and he happens to pass, or a cause that they're associated with, or their company. And how Google Alerts works is if you put in somebody's name or their business, when something gets posted on the internet, you get an email. So you can open up that email and you can say, oh geez, that was really cool. You can set a file. There's a lot of creative things that you can do with Google Alerts. Birthdays, that's another thing that I do like to do, is try to give somebody a phone call, or maybe send them a Facebook Messenger, potentially a greeting card, not every single time, or a text message, depending on the level of the relationship that I have. If I have their cell phone number, I want to cut through the clutter and go right directly to their text messages. Because it's roughly 95% of all text messages are opened and read within the first 5 minutes. And it's not necessarily, I don't even look at my Facebook wall anymore. So if anybody posts on my Facebook wall, for a birthday, I'll get hundreds. Why? Because you get back what you send out. And if I'm sending out a ton of birthday messages, I get that. I don't even have time to click and look at the hundreds of messages that they post on my wall. I think when you post on somebody else's wall like that, it's more of an ego thing, because you want other people to see that you said happy birthday rather than just that one-to-one, in my personal opinion. So I think it's better to show up in a different way, in more of a private message or a text message or whatnot. Anyone know what slide dial is? Oh, it's good.
It's good. Can I talk about this one?
Please.
So how many of you, this stays in the room, how many of you have a relative you dread the phone call? Okay. And your mom says, you should be calling your aunt. And you're like, oh, I'd rather die. So slide dial goes directly to the voicemail of a mobile phone. Thank you. You can thank me. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Have you ever had a voicemail pop up in your phone and you're like, what the hell? It was in my hand and it just popped up as, I have 4 bars. It never rang.
Yeah.
You got slide dial. Somebody did that. And you can do live broadcasts. You can send it out to a whole bunch of people as well.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to use for birthdays. I learned that from you. I sing happy birthday, and I don't sing well. I try to sing like Marilyn Monroe, but it's all good. But it's not so much that, it's that they actually feel that you took time to wish them something. Or if somebody's got a big event and I just say, I love you, I believe in you, you're gonna do it, you're gonna rock. So just use Slide Dial, you'll never regret it. And then you can call an aunt and say, oh, I'm sorry I missed you. I'm glad and just leave a message of what you want to leave. But Slide Dial will be your new friend.
And value adds, what does that mean? The biggest thing there is connecting people with other people without expectation of getting anything in return. And just saying, that's kind of the whole BNI way, isn't it? Givers gain. And so I learned this at a really young age, and I really, it's came back many, many times over. And I'll share a story quickly, is that I feel like I've done so much of this for so many years, and I feel like when I needed it the most, the universe, the higher power, whatever you believe in, paid it back many, many times over. So it was 3.5 years ago now, I was in Florida. I moved to Florida about 6 months before that. Somebody posted my book and somebody else's book on Facebook and said 2 must-reads for everybody in the real estate profession. And I ended up meeting this one guy because somebody sent a private message and said, you two should meet. I had no idea who this gentleman was, other than I knew he owned a mortgage company. And so I met up with him for a beer, and we had some dinner, and we were getting talking. I had no idea. He was 35 years young and ran a $70 million a year enterprise with several different businesses. And when I showed him my System A on cards, he's like, oh, that's really cool. And he's like, I could print your cards for you. I have a marketing company. And I'm like, really? And so I was blown away, and the pricing he gave me was at cost and no labor. Who does that? And I think he saw a lot of himself in me, and I was hustling out there doing presentations, I was posting on Facebook where I was and everything like that. And then what happened was 6 months after that, he started a real estate tech company. And when he had this marketing material, he said, Curtis, he's like, what are some of your goals? I was like, well, I'd really like to buy a house. Unfortunately, I spent all my money starting my business and then some. And I might have a problem getting a loan. Do you know anybody that might be able to get me a loan? And he's like, go talk to my loan officer. So they ran my numbers. And he came back and he said, I would like to offer you a job. And I was like, nah, I don't really want a job. And he kind of knew that. And I said, here's what I'm going to do, Robert. I'm going to work for you for free. You've been such a blessing to me in my life. I'm just going to work for free. Well, that made him want to even give more. He called me up on April 4th, 2016 and said, Curtis, would you be able to give me 1 day a week for $55,000 a year, full benefits? 1 day a week. And I'm like, how do you say no to that? I'm like, at the time that was like, perfect. And here's the clincher. The day before, my wife told me she was pregnant. And I was going through a tough time financially. I was really trying to get my business going. You guys all know where I'm going. You guys have been there, done that. And some of you guys are currently in that situation right now. I just got off the phone and I cried. And I just started realizing all of these times over the years that I connected people and helped people, it's coming back. I'm like, wow, this is an amazing feeling. And I helped him grow that company to over $500,000 a month in revenue, built out his sales team and a couple acquisition strategies, and he just completely changed my life because I got to learn through osmosis some really cool things that he did within that business. And then years later, it came back full circle, and then I was able to dive back into my own business full time, and I'm so very grateful for him showing up in my life at the exact right time. And I'm a big believer that you do the right thing consistently over time, can't help but come back many times over.
Absolutely. So we talked earlier about slowing down the speed up. I'm sure you guys have heard that before. What does that mean to a couple of you out there, to slow down, to speed up?
Regroup.
What is that? Be present, be mindful, be good to yourself. What else do we have?
When you slow down, you get rid of the stuff that maybe you shouldn't be doing.
Ah, yes, absolutely. And it took me a long time. I'm a very high D, if you guys haven't figured that out. And it takes time for me to just stop and slow down. And what I really work on when I do that is I look at my relationships and how grateful I am for them. I truly am. I work very hard on my relationships and I invest in them.
one of the things that I do is I carry these like little 5x7, 3x5 index cards. And the night when I'm kind of unwinding and figuring all the different stuff that I got to do the following day, I write just a line down the middle, and on one side I put must do, and on the other side I put to do. And so the to-do list over there is things that may be able to carry on to the next day. Here's the things I really need to knock out the next day. And I'll tell you, just this simple little thing of carrying this in my pocket and just absolutely wanted to cross off one thing after another, because it's hard, because when you're spinning so many plates and you have so many things going on, that's why slowing down to speed up is just getting a little bit more clear and being intentional with what you're going to be doing for the day. And one of the things that I do is I absolutely write in who are the people that showed up in my life that I need to appreciate, that I need to say thank you for, and I might not do it immediately. However, I will end up doing it. And maybe it's a week late. I always say there's never too late to appreciate. So you schedule it in your calendar, and then you make it happen. So, one of the things that I want to, every time that I go to a conference and I'm picking that one thing that I want to walk away with, something that I want to implement into my business and go forward with. And so Brigitte and I were talking, it's like, what is it that we can challenge you guys to do when you leave here and maybe start on Monday morning? And one of the things that I want to challenge you guys is take our gratitude challenge. And the gratitude challenge is simply this. It's sending one card a day. And I don't care if you go to Walmart, Walgreens, or you use my System AM cards. I don't care. The biggest point of this is to actually do it. And the reason is because I truly believe that you can cut through a lot of clutter this way. The mailbox, what do we get in the mail these days? Junk mail and? Junk mail and bills. So when you get something personal, what do you open up first? You open up the personal stuff. So this is one of the things I want to challenge you guys is to become more in a habit of doing this, kind of bringing a little bit of old school back into this high-tech world. And that's one of the things I want to challenge you with. And the second thing, if you want to take this on, is our 50 coffee challenge. Brigitte, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, this is my baby. This 50 coffee challenge. No, you don't have to do it in a week or a month. Just do it in a year.
Do it in a year.
It just take 1 year, and here's what it's going to look like. You make a list. I'm going to give you 3 minutes here in a moment of the people that are influencers in your life. They're huge connectors, or they're your big referral source, or what we would call your A clients, your A game clients. I want you to take a couple of minutes and just write down. Just write down three names of people that you know that absolutely deserve to be with you for coffee. And we're going to talk about what you're going to do at your coffee and not do at your coffee. So just write down 3 names right now.
Or maybe it's somebody that's in your network already that might be referring you business. However, Who is somebody that you would really like to meet? Or what type of industry do you want to show up? They want to connect with. Like for instance, maybe you design or you speak and you want to get in front of human resource managers because they're putting on programs and businesses, and to be able to do different presentations for whatever it is, wellness programs. I mean, those are great influencers because they have the ability to open up a door for you to a whole bunch of people.
That's right.
And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, my business, like last October, was suffering big time. And I had a job at the time, and I didn't know where to go, what to turn. And I actually ended up going through a Think and Grow Rich mastermind class, and I got really focused on a decision that I made to make sure that this was no longer a hobby, and I needed to figure out a way. And I'll tell you what I ended up doing. I came across somebody that was sharing with me this right here. I think this is the fastest way, right here is the Achieve Academy about speaking. The fastest way to exponentially grow your wealth and grow your income is find your voice, get a message, and get out there. You get in front of more people, exponentially grow. My business has grown from last October to this one 24 times. And it was decent, it was paying the bills, but then when I got intentional and knew what doors I needed to open and what people I needed to connect with, and not being afraid to ask somebody for a connection or who I would love to meet, and then the rest, I think, happened naturally. So many doors were open, and next thing you know, I'm booking speaking engagements all over the place. I'm hustling now and working hard now, because you know what my dream is? Be a Little League coach and not miss a practice. ever. My son's gonna be 3 in December, and I'm working hard right now on building it up and putting systems and things in place so my business is running without me. You know that cash flow quadrant, and you got the business owner, and the business that runs without you. Right now I consider myself self-employed because I'm rolling up my sleeves, I'm leading with revenue, and I'm going out there and building the business, and now I'm in the process of hiring other people behind me and training them to do what I do, and so I can focus on the bigger stuff and work on the business rather so much than in the business. And I think that that's what doing something like this program right here could totally do for you. Completely changed my life.
Yeah, achieve. I mean, health and wellness. I mean, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was nobody to support you guys in this industry, right? And now you have Achieve. I'm just blown away by what I've seen so far. And yesterday, I got to sit with many of you, 20 of you. It was exhausting, really fun. But many of you have dreams to be speakers and trainers. Find the organizations and just reach out to people. Don't eat lunch alone. There's a book like that, isn't there? Don't eat lunch alone. And just have a cup of coffee. I know you're all busy. I know you schedule yourself hour to hour. Trust me when I tell you, slow down to speed up. Have a coffee with one person and just really invest in it. Do it with intention. Just once a week. If you're really busy, don't not do that, because we're always looking for new business. Now let's invest in relationships and see what happens.
And when you're doing these one-on-ones, and there's nobody better, in my opinion, than Brigitte to be able to share this type of stuff.
Yeah.
When you're going in and when you're sitting down that one-on-one, there's a lot of ways that you can really mess it up and have them really lock that door behind them, and they're never opening it up to anybody within your network. And one of the things we talk about is the 3/4 rule, which is
3/4 of the time it should be about
them.
good. You guys got it. We had good trainers this morning. So let's talk about a couple things you're not gonna do. So I'll tell you a story. And I was pretty bold. I was very, very bold. This young lady pulls out product, sits it on the table, and a flip chart. And for those of you that know me, that's not a good thing to do. And so I just waited a minute for her to get all organized, and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Are we here to talk, or are you trying to sell me something?" She goes, "I'm trying to sell you something." I said, "Put it away, and let me make you a lot of money with just a couple of words." And she said, "What's that?" I said, "Never lead with a sale. Never lead with a sale. If you have product, please keep it off the table. Please, I beg of you." You know, there's a lot of people that need to learn that. There's a lot of people that could be successful faster if they didn't do that. Don't ever sell in a one-to-one. So there's one question I always ask is, where did you grow up? Tell me, what was your journey here? How many of you met with me yesterday? And did I not ask that question? How did you get where you're at? There's a couple people, especially a gentleman sitting right over there, that I finally looked at him and said, "What are your dreams? You're bigger than what you're at right here." I knew he had more to offer. And I found out what his dreams are. He's a fascinating man. So the next question I always want to do is I want to hear their story. How did you get here? Tell me a little bit. Who can I get you connected with? Because if somebody is sharing their story, isn't that what everybody wants to talk about, is their story? I heard some stories that people are cancer survivors in this room. People have diabetes. I mean, there's so many amazing stories I heard that I will never forget. And you're going to find out about them as they tell you their story. And I love asking, what is your dream? We don't share our dreams enough, do we, you guys? We don't. Do many of you know what other people's dreams are? Almost everybody in my life, I know what their dreams are, and I will do whatever I can to help them. So a couple of things to remember. Turn your phone upside down. Turn it around. Don't be answering. Don't be texting. Don't be doing anything like that. And if you do expect a call, when somebody says to me, "Bridget, I am expecting one call I've been waiting for, and it just happens to fall this time," thank you for prepping me. I understand business. I understand that the kids are going to be calling. So you want to make sure you keep your products off the table. Keep the flip charts gone. Don't try to sell somebody. Please don't. You have to earn your business. And Curtis said that earlier. You want leads or you want referrals, you guys? Referrals, absolutely. There's nothing sexy. I always say there's no cure for the common cold call. I never want to do one again. I had to do it for years, and I just said, this sucks. I don't want to do
That could be
this.
a book title.
Great. No cure for the common cold call?
Yeah.
Oh, I always, people tell me I should be an author.
Write that down.
Write that down. Okay, so I want to share with you guys, those are the biggest tips I have for what not to do. Please don't be late. Let them know that you're going to be running a few minutes late. And don't look like you just crawled out of bed. Try to look presentable, because here's the thing. I really don't care what you look like, but I do care what you look like when you go to my referrals. Are you going to be referable? I remember in BNI, a young lady, she was a massage therapist. She came up to me and said, I'm not getting any referrals. I said, wonder why. She looks like she crawled out of bed every day. Well, I'm a massage therapist, the lights are off. I said, yeah, but my referrals I just don't think that they're going to be really excited about seeing you. So we worked a little bit. She got a uniform and she's doing great now. So please, how you show up is how you're going to be presented to your referrals that you possibly could get in the future.
And FORD is a little acronym, and just kind of like when you're meeting people and you're getting to know people, and that's why I say before, get to know people who they are, not just what they do. And one of the fastest ways to do it is just follow this acronym, and that is family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And so you tell me about your family, your occupation, recreation, like that type of stuff, and then what are some of your dreams? It's a fast way to get to it, because people do business with people, right? Yes. And so when you connect with people at a different level, and don't be afraid to share your shit. It's okay. It's okay to put it out there a little bit. Like, be vulnerable, because it actually gives them permission to be able to share some of their stuff in their life. And you'll connect at a different level and figure out ways to help each other if that connection is real and it's there.
Absolutely. So I have to tell you something I did. Many of you know that I was with BNI, and I loved working with BNI, and Dr. Evan Meissner, and just everybody. It was just an amazing organization. One year I thought my word for the year was intentional. Every year I have a new word. Every year. And I make it my focus so it becomes a habit after 12 months, we hope. Maybe I should do thin next year. Yeah, okay, no, I'll think about that. But anyway, so it was intentional, and I thought, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to be a director that leads with referrals. Now, I want you to know, when I say I lead with referrals, I listen all the time on how I can connect people. I did over 100 connections, which resulted in 38 referrals coming through and closed business, money in people's pockets. And I'm not talking a little bit of money, over $500,000 of business I referred. Question: how many people went out of their way to thank me?
None.
One?
5%.
4. Who do I still do business with and refer to? 4. Who am I not going to refer to?
Guys,
That's right.
And it's human nature. It's human nature. I mean, before that I talked about, in chapter 2 of our book is actually called You Should Have Said Thank You. And I'm going to bring like a real life example. We're going to cross it over to business here. You guys ever go out of your way for somebody and do something nice, extra special for them, and then you couldn't wait to hear from them? And you waited, and you waited, and you waited. Like maybe that time that you're talking to your spouse because you're on the way to a wedding. And you're like, geez, you know what, hon? We used to change their diaper. Let's go above and beyond and do something really nice for them. We love them. And so you're figuring out, do we go to the top of the registry and click buy now and get the most expensive item or something that we can show, or are we going to give them money? Then you settle on money. Who's been there? You're having that conversation. You go, do I give a check or do I give cash? What makes more of an impact? Cash. It's kind of fun opening up an envelope and just having cash in there. So you settle on cash, you decide on what you're going to give, and whatever it is, you go above and beyond, and you put more in that envelope. Who's been there? And so you go to the reception, you see that little white box, and you put the card in there, and you just couldn't wait to hear from them. And you waited. And you waited. They go on their honeymoon, they come back, and now you're wondering, geez, it's gone a couple of weeks, few weeks, and you're like, did they get it? Did somebody steal that envelope? How do I know? It's cash, it's not a check. We don't know if they cashed it or not, right? And then you happen to bump into them. Maybe at a barbecue or a family event, and you're like, gosh, I just want to make sure that you got it. Oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Monica. How does that make you feel?
Not important.
Appreciated? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, ladies in the room, when the baby shower comes running around and what are you going to do? Are you going to be less likely or more likely to go to the top of the registry or do something above and beyond for them again? Less likely. It's just human nature. You're going to remember that. It's just, well, now, let's turn the tables just a little bit. Let's say that the wedding's on a Saturday, they're going on a honeymoon on a Monday, and on Sunday they give you a call. And they say, Monica, I just wanted to thank you guys so much. Just having you at our wedding was a gift enough. The card was so beautiful. And the money, that was just over the top. How does that make you feel? And you're probably thinking, geez, we could have put more in there. You know, you just think that way. So, but also the same thing happens in business because you've been there, because you're in those shoes, is that you've gone out of your way and done something nice for somebody in business, and they don't even recognize or appreciate that, or maybe down the road you find out that that was a transaction which led to this, which led to that, and they're just going on their merry way. There's a good chance that there's a lot of other people there that will go out of their way to share their appreciation to you. So I want you to think about the next time that somebody connects you with somebody or gives you a referral, what is it that you can do for them? It doesn't have to be very expensive. It could just be a phone call. And just really express your gratitude and appreciation and let them know that you appreciate that. Behavior, that's the whole purpose of this, is that behavior rewarded is behavior repeated. Now, I told you guys before that I was going to share with you guys a little secret weapon. The technology company that I built. And I wanted to actually show my appreciation for being here today. So I wanted to send Sherry a card to say thank you. So yesterday we took a picture, and I want you guys to look at this because there's so many different ways to show. However, something like this really allows you to go above and beyond. And so in our system, there's hundreds of cards to choose from, or you can design your own. And so this one right here, I'm going to design our own and put a picture on the front of the three of us last night. We were at the bar, but no, we were not drinking.
We were drinking.
Should have been. So that's the front of the card. And now, if you guys haven't put two and two together, this is actually going to get printed out, stuffed in an envelope, and mailed out to Minnesota to Sherry. And then then I took a picture of the room in the back, and I typed a little message, and I wanted to thank her from the bottom of our hearts, from myself and Brigitte, thanking her for the opportunity to be able to share this message. We love doing that. And you can brand the back of the cards, and you can add gift cards and all kinds of cool stuff in there. There's also a really great book that you can send with a card, too. Notice how that got in there. And then you can send brownies, and these brownies are absolutely delicious. These things, they open doors and they close business, and I don't want to disappoint some of you guys. These don't come from Denver, they come from Utah. You guys are quicker. Other people around the country, it takes about 30 seconds for them to get it. It goes over their head and it comes back. Little gourmet fudge brownies, and I always say, P.S., I always put a little in there, 12 seconds in the microwave and a scoop of ice cream equals heaven. Now, let me tell you a story real quick about these brownies, just because I had somebody, and I talked about human resource managers earlier, and I do work with a lot of financial advisors, insurance agents, real estate agents, because relationships matter so much in their profession. So I was actually doing a presentation up in Virginia, and there was a RE/MAX agent that signed up, and what he did was he was at a BNI, and he asked specifically for a referral, a human resource manager for this company. Somebody who knew that person. He lobbed in a card with a box of brownies, and what ended up happening was they met up for coffee. He made it be all about them because they were at the training. He did the whole 3/4 rule. It was all about them. He got one deal. But because his service was so awesome and he followed up and showed his appreciation, he earns 10 deals a month now. It's a big company that does government contracting work. Completely life-changing, one contact. You guys are all one contact away from massive success. And if you believe it, that person could be right here in this room. It could be a connection that somebody in this room has. And if you build that relationship and you have they have the trust, they would love to open up the door and share that connection with you. I put the address, I click on send card, and it's done. That's it. It's super, super simple. And so, there's also what I love to do is I put in Happy Thanksgiving. You can do one card to a whole bunch of people at once, Or you can do happy birthday, thank you for the business. My sister is a nurse practitioner in Daytona Beach, in the area, right around that area. And what she did was she put this together and it says, happy birthday, first name. And then she uploads all of her client list with the birthdays into a specific group, and the birthday cards automatically go out
Get out.
5 days before their birthday, and their name is put right on there.
Come on, really?
So there's a lot of creative ways to do, and one of the things that I like to share, and that when I talk about when I do this, is that, I don't know if that, yeah, stop making an impression. You guys want to build a business and make money? Make an impression. You want to really make money, make real money, and actually grow a business that affects more people? Start making an impact. And so the cards that you send out and the lives that you touch, you can do it in a way that shows more of an impact. Like when somebody has a baby and they post it on social media and you send it to them, do you think they're ever going to throw that away? No. Or this is a really cool story, is that one of my friends, she's a coach, and her daughter had the first day of preschool, so I took the picture and put it on a card, and I sent it to little Addison, but I didn't send it from Curtis. I actually sent it from Cinderella. And I said, so proud of you, Addison, and I signed it, Love Cinderella, dropped a box of brownies in the mail, and then, she's a big-time coach, she's a nationwide coach, she's always doing something, she's one of my customers, and I didn't ask for it, and it showed up on social media. I got tons of referrals from this, so when you go out of your way and do things, people a lot of times go out of their way and make sure that they show their appreciation to you. And one of my favorite all-time cards is when Brigitte lost her best friend of 19 years. And Shotzi. I know she's going to end up crying. And so I actually made this card, and I put, thank you for an amazing life, Mom and Dad. And I Google imaged the Rainbow Bridge poem. And then on the inside, I wrote the message, and I said, where do I begin? Thank you for being my best friend. Thank you for always finding time to play with me. And thank you for giving me scratches. I'm still here to listen to all your ideas, sorrows, and happy times. I'm still here for you. You're the best mommy and daddy a four-legged friend could have.
Aww.
Now, of course, she knew it came from me because I've sent her a bunch of cards over the years. However, can you imagine the call that I got when she called me? You think that made an impact on her? You think she still has the card? I'm sharing this with you because I'm very passionate, because these cards, they open doors, and without trying to close business, it happens. It just absolutely happens. And so I wanted to do something extra special for you guys. I talked to Sherry ahead of time. I talked to Brigitte, and Brigitte said I have a lot of friends in the room, and there's a lot of people. So I'm going to do something I've actually never, ever done before. And when I speak, and I want to share this with you, and I don't care if, like I said before, I want you taking the gratitude challenge, and I don't care if you go to Walmart tomorrow or Walgreens, or you sign up for this service and use it. I don't care. I want you guys to use it because I know the impact that it will have on your business when you have these connections. Normally, I have a $295 system license, and it's your system license for life. $39 a month comes with 20 cards and 20 stamps. If you don't use them all, they roll over for a whole year. If you run out, it's a whopping $2 per card. You can brand it. Your accountant's going to love it. You print out the invoice and give it to them. And you can pre-schedule campaigns. You can do personal branding, and there's no contracts and there's no commitments. And one of the things that I'm going to do, two things actually. One of the things is that I'm completely waiving it. It's free. Okay, so for years I had to charge that because I had to pay my programmer. And so I'm actually completely waiving that for anybody who would like to take this for a test drive. I'm going to honor no contracts and no commitments. I'm going to do one extra thing. If you do the gratitude challenge and send out a card a day for a month, I'm going to put that $40 in credits in your account. I'm going to put an extra $40 for free. All you got to do is email me. And my email's easy, curtis@amcards.com. I'll send it to you. And then I'll put it, and I don't care if you cancel at the end of that and say, ooh, thanks for all the credits. I don't care. I just know that when you get into a habit and you start doing this thing on a consistent basis, the return is absolutely amazing. And in wrapping up, there's never enough time to do everything. Yet there's always enough time to do what's most important. Whatever you need to do, if you have a time, the space will fill up that time. If you have 15 minutes to do something, you'll figure out a way to get it done. If it's an hour, it'll end up taking an hour. And so what we recommend is time block and be intentional with your relationships. Do that gratitude challenge, 1 card a day. Make the commitment today to say, that's the one thing I'm going to go back and just do one thing, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to work on who's my collaborative partners that I want to be able to grow a business with. Write it down and be intentional. Go out there and meet them and have your 50 coffees. And when you do that, your business will absolutely explode. And one of the things that, and I know you have a couple things that you want to share.
Oh, no, you're doing great. You go.
Okay. All right. And so I know that we're wrapping up. Our time is up. And for anybody that would like to come see me, my table's over here. I'd love to be able to have a conversation with you. I'll give you my cell phone number if you guys have that would like to connect after the fact. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here to be able to share this message.
Yes, thank you, Curtis, for changing your whole weekend to be here. And thank all of you very, very much. And all my friends that showed up today. Thank you.